before, the rainforest had been alive with sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet. The creatures watched the two men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to a great kapok tree. Then he left. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack. The sounds of the blows rang through the rainforest. The wood was very hard.
Kindergarten, it's over here.
Chop, chop. The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and
on your bottoms, front row.
The sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man retired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great kapok tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the rainforest had lulled him to sleep. A boa constrictor lived in the great kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk where the man slid. Boa constrictor lived in the great kapok tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash that had made near the tree. The huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed.
Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down.
A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear.
Senor, my hive is in this kapok tree, and I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower, collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another.
A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the kapok tree. One of them chattered to the sleeping man.
Senor, we have seen the ways of men. We chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rain comes, the soil will be washed away, and the rainforest will become a desert.
A toucan flew down from the canopy. The toucan squawked.
Senor, you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happened once you began to chop down trees. Many people settled on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where there once was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain.
A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of the leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped the man's ear.
Senor, a rainforest means red lines. Many red lines. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down these great kapok trees.
A jaguar had been sleeping along the branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear.
Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?
A tree porcupine swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the sleeping man.
Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what the trees produce? Oxygen. If we cut it down, the plants will destroy that will give us our life.
Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. One anteater said to the sleeping man,
Senor, you're chopping down this tree for good. Surely you know whatever's tomorrow comes of what you do today. The big man felt like a chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children much. Tomorrow is going to work out.
A three-toed sloth had began climbing down from the canopy where the man had first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Gliding ever so slowly to the sleeping man, she spoke in her teeth voice.
Senor, how much is really worth? Can we live without it? If we destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what will you feast your eyes?
A child from the Yamalo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear.
Senor, when you awake, please look upon us with all new eyes.
The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child and all around him. Staring were the creatures who depended upon the great cave body. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark rainforest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great cave cotton tree. A man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung his arm as though to strike the tree. Suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest.